Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope all of you are doing well today. So in this video, this is going to be part 2 of me answering some of your recently submitted questions regarding spirituality in general. So I'm basically going to pick up right where I left off. So the first question here is, someone said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't think that Santa Muerte wants to work with me. So for a lot of these kinds of things, it really is a case-by-case basis. I don't speak for Santa Muerte when it comes to who she does or doesn't want to work with in regards to very specific situations. Sometimes people think she doesn't want to work with them when she's all around them. They just don't see the signs, or they're just so full of doubt that they convince themselves that she doesn't want to work with them when she's already been around them. Like, it really just fluctuates and varies person to person. I think for this situation, I would just say that maybe watch some videos regarding different signs that she might want to work with you, and look for those signs in your own personal life and in your own personal practice. Which other gods or saints are okay for you to work with in Santa Muerte's eyes? Again, I think it's a person by person thing. I know that different devotees work with different beings, and it really depends on that person's personal path. Working with Santa Muerte isn't a religion, it's a spiritual practice, and oftentimes people have different beings in their spiritual paths. I think I've heard of people who work with the Orishas, but who also work with Santa Muerte, people who work with angels or Saint Michael and the Virgin Mary, but also work with Santa Muerte, people who work with infernal beings and demons, but also work with Santa Muerte, people who work with folk saints like Saint Jude or Jesus Malverde, but also work with Santa Muerte. And so it really just depends on your personal practice. Generally, I would say you can pretty much work with whoever you want alongside working with Santa Muerte, just not have them occupy the same altar space if possible, because she should always have her own space. You know, it's not a hard and fast rule for every situation, but I think in general, you know, it's okay to work with other beings. But of course, if you have the tools, then of course, do divination and find out for sure if it's even necessary. She asked me to become Catholic, which is not my thing, but I am willing. So a lot of people who are Catholic work with Santa Muerte. I think that the Catholic practice is there's a very standard form of practicing Catholicism, and I think that it could help potentially lend some order and stability to a spiritual practice, especially if there isn't any to begin with. I don't know your personal practice or personal preference. I mean, personally, I've partaken in Catholic prayer, and I don't consider myself necessarily Catholic, but I have a strong appreciation for a lot of religions and a lot of their rituals, rites, and practices. So I'm sure if she asks you to become Catholic or to partake in Catholic prayer, then there must be some benefit that I'm unaware of, but it may be something that reveals itself in time. Do I work with or venerate San La Muerte or Señor La Muerte? No, I think he's just not for me. That's all I really want to say about it. I think if you resonate with him, I think that's great. I do have one video about him on my channel. But no, I don't personally work with him. Is the use of constant light necessary? I could be the exception to the rule, but I don't have constant light on my altar. But I think that eventually I do want to get there. I think I'm going to probably use either electric candles or probably some kind of Christmas lights or something like that. Definitely not candles. I only have candles lit when I'm actively working at the altar. If I'm not at the altar, I definitely never have candles lit, because it's super dangerous, and house fires. And I forget the percentage, but most most house fires are literally just caused by candles being left unattended to. And honestly, you could be at the altar and it can catch on fire from a candle popping or sparking. So no, I absolutely never leave candles unattended to. And if you feel like you absolutely have to, put the candle inside of like a big basin of water, because sometimes glass breaks and that's what causes a fire. That way, if it breaks, there's a good chance it'll just fall in the water and you can kind of circumvent like real harm happening to your altar or even to wherever you live. I think electric lights work just fine, like electric candles, electric lanterns, spotlights, Christmas lights, ornamental decorative lamps. I think it all works just fine, really, in my opinion. Why does she like sunflowers? Honestly, I don't know anything about her and sunflowers. I don't think I know of any aspects that relate to sunflowers. I know she has a connection to some flowers like marigolds and certain kinds of roses, but I don't think I've ever even heard of a connection to sunflowers. I don't doubt it, but I just haven't heard about that. Why does she work with people not of her culture? I am European. So again, I think she just works with anybody who she feels could benefit from her, or people who potentially could even be descended from other devotees. Like I asked before and she told me that I'm descended from some devotees, but they're from like a million years ago. Not literally a million, but just from like eons ago. And honestly, nobody is just one race or ethnicity. People are so mixed up, ethnically speaking, for the most part. So I just feel like she works with anybody who she feels can benefit from. I think she has a reason for working with everyone that she does work with, though. I don't think it has anything to do with race, though. Have you had La Niña Negra manifest as any creature? For me, no. I don't really have dreams with her in them very often, and every time I've dreamt of her, she's shown up in a female form. I have had dreams where Santa Muerte has appeared as other creatures, I guess. I think the first dream I ever had about Santa Muerte, I was probably a teenager, probably like 13 or 14, and she appeared in that dream as a large white owl with a little black owl on her shoulder. So she was a large owl with a small owl sitting on her shoulder. So I know she can take on the appearance of certain animals, but no, I've never dreamt of the black aspect taking on an animal form. Just I remember that dream about the white aspect taking on an owl form. Am I knowledgeable about charged pentagrams and what to do with them regarding Holy Death? I know pentagrams are generally used for protection as well as for connecting to the elements, especially in like pagan practices. So I imagine if you wanted to create some kind of protection for yourself, you can use the symbol, the pentagram, or even a pentacle to kind of act as a focal point for the protection. So I would just use it like that. How often does Holy Death work with the LGBT people? Honestly, constantly. Most of her devotees, I won't say most of them, but many of her devotees are people in the LGBT. It's one of the things she's really known for, is working with people who live on the fringes of society, people who are pushed away by society, people who are discriminated against, people who are looked down upon, groups of people that are really often misjudged, or who don't have the same rights as other people. And that includes racial minorities, and it includes people in the LGBT. So there's a lot of trans people who work with La Santa Muerte for protection, because a lot of times they are target for certain kinds of hate crimes. She has a big following of devotees who are in the LGBT and trans communities, and she is very, very much there for them, and she's very, very supportive of them on their journeys, and she's very protective of them. So she is very a huge supporter. And if you are in the LGBT umbrella, then I think if you are interested in working with her, it could just be another benefit, because she's very much a strong force of nature when it comes to the LGBT people and spirituality. What if two devotees of Santa Muerte try to hex or curse each other through her? What would happen? Honestly, this happens, I feel like this happens a lot in the spiritual community. I think even if two people work with the same god or goddess, or even the same demon, and they try to like use that same being against one another, I don't know, I feel like it depends on the situation. If somebody's in the wrong, then they might be the one who, you know, has something happen to them. I mean, maybe both people are in the right, maybe nothing would happen. I think it just depends on that particular situation, really. Is it true that Santa Muerte tests her devotees? I don't think that she creates conflict in our lives to act as a test for us, but I do think that sometimes she will allow certain events to unfold organically in our lives to act as opportunities for growth and for learning, especially when it comes to like really pivotal life lessons. You know, I've seen situations in my own life where certain blessings were coming into my life, but it's almost like they were on hold until I learned a certain lesson, because if I didn't learn that lesson beforehand, then when the blessing came, it wouldn't work out quite right. And so I think that sometimes we need to become certain people, and so sometimes we have to go through certain things in order to be all the better for it, for having gone through certain things. I don't think she creates conflict in our lives, but I think sometimes she allows us to kind of have to deal with things so that we can learn and grow as humans on our like life paths. How do I dispose of altar offerings? It depends what it is. If it's food, I mean, it's really popular to just bury it. Sometimes I just throw stuff in the trash. If it's just like containers or something, like if it's like a beer bottle or something, I'm not going to bury that outside. It just depends what it is. Do I partake in offerings on the altar? Not usually. Usually if I give her something at the altar, I just give it to her and I just leave it on the altar. Sometimes I'll bring something to the altar with the intention of sharing it with her, and by that I mean I would be like, I offer you, you can offer her an experience. So you can say, I'm going to eat this, but I want to offer you the experience of tasting it through my body, right? That's with food, drink, smoking, anything like that. Like, you can offer the experience, and if you offer her that experience, it's like she can kind of enjoy it physically through you. Other times I won't eat what I've given her at the altar or drink whatever I've given her, but I'll pour my own or have my own plate of food. So there'll be a plate for her and a plate for me, and I'll eat with her at the altar. I've done that before as well. So it really just depends, but generally I don't really eat anything I give her at the altar. I just give it to her as it is. Have I seen someone get a large statue and just change the robes as needed? Yes, it's a really popular practice where people will just take, like, maybe they'll have a certain robe color, like a statue, whether it be pink or white or whatever color, a black one, but they'll have like little cloaks that they put on, like fabric that they'll put over the statue, and by doing so they basically change the color of the statue. It's a very popular practice. Or they'll dress the statue in different like dresses of different colors, or different cloaks in different colors even. So yeah, it's a really popular practice. Can I do a meditational music video on the copper aspect next? I don't know if I'll do that one next, but I'm gonna try to do it within the next few weeks, for sure, since you asked. Are owls a sign of her? They are definitely a sign of her. Owls are associated with the underworld and the mythology of many nations, as well as her main companion animal is the owl. That's why you see the owl perched or sitting at her feet on most statues. Owls are definitely a sign of her. I've received owls, I mean, I've seen owls in real life that were a sign from her. Somebody asked, is the white robe more of like a neutral color? In the same way, like with magic, when you use candles, white can kind of be a neutral color that you can use in place of any other color. And they're asking if they can just have a white statue and switch out candle colors in order to represent different like aspects or different colored robes. I think a lot of people do this. I think it's pretty common practice. I don't consider white a neutral color, in the sense that it can be used as a, because it's definitely its own thing. The white is its own aspect, she is her own being, but at the same time, if you only have one statue, I think it's fine to do, because you're still connecting to the Santa Muerte herself regardless of the color. But I would not consider the white as a neutral color, just more as a standard color, one of the 3 standard colors, I would guess I would say. But yeah, if you only have one statue, I think changing like the robes that you put over it if you use fabric, or even just changing the colors around it to help, you know, be symbolic of other aspects you're trying to reach out to. So I think that could definitely work in that regard. So that was the last question for me to answer from this last set of questions I was asked. It's kind of cold outside, so I think I'm gonna go inside now. But if you have any more questions, just hold on to them, because I will be making another community post really soon where I ask for more questions, and I will, as always, be very happy to answer them for any of you who have anything you're wanting asked. You know, I don't pretend to know everything, and I don't know everything. And if there's something I don't know, I'm happy to say I don't know, because it just means I get to be excited to learn something new by doing my own research about it. With that being said, if you like the video, then drop a like. If you want more videos like this, then absolutely subscribe, because I post very frequently. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll see all of you in the next one. And happy Halloween. Take care. Thank you.